Okay, so here's what we can do. I'm going to use this what I know about selections and channels up to this point. And as I showed my class this previous semester, so you guys, this will be a good review for you. We're going to select this grass in the middle and can make it match the color of the grass back here now. In reality, it wouldn't because it's actually looks this way because it's behind these blue window panes. But that's okay. We're gonna. It's a great example to see how um, what we know about channels can allow us to really do some powerful color change and color correction. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is get this piece of grass selected because I want to change it. I want to make some change to it, so I need to get it selected. I'm just going to use the pen tool real quickly, and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to just skip right over this part there. I just need to get this basic shape of this grass chosen because what I'm going to do after I get it selected, I'm going to float that selection onto a new layer. I'm just cutting right across their heads, and you'll see why in a minute. For those of you who don't remember from my class, and anybody who hasn't taken it, this will make sense in a little bit. Okay, I've got that path the way I want it. I'm going to look at my paths over here. I'm going to command click that to load that selection in. And now we're about ready. I'm going to float this selection. You remember, Apple J floats it onto a new layer. And the only reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to experiment on the original because I might mess up. So I made this, I floated a copy that I'm going to put up here. That way I can try to kind of match these values. So here's how we use channels to do this. I'm going to go to my channels palette, and I'm going to just look at them. Look at the cyan channel. See how much darker this cyan, how much more cyan is here? That means it's darker. That means there's more cyan on this piece of grass that came from the inside of the window. And it makes sense looking back at it. Look how much more blue-green it is. So it's a lot darker cyan. The magenta channel, not a lot more red in the background, a little bit maybe more red in that grass outside of the helicopter. A lot more yellow is being used in the grass back here. Again, that makes sense because if we look back at it, it certainly looks a lot more yellow, so that's why this is so much darker on this channel. And on black, the grass from the inside of the window was darker, so it makes sense to me that there's more black here. So theoretically, if I can get these values to be equal, if I can make this values of gray be equal to this, then the cyan amounts should equal. So we're going to use curves to do that. So remember back to our curves under Image Adjustments, Curves. Curves Windows pops up. Now keep in mind I'm on the cyan channel when I'm doing this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this curve line. I'm going to bring it down until I feel like the values are similar on each side of that. So you can pull from the middle to affect the midtones, or you can go all the way to the end of the line and pull it down. I like to do that a little bit too. It just kind of lowers the overall amount of cyan that is in this. Okay, so I'm going to get it pretty even like that. Looks pretty good. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on the magenta channel. Pop over here to the magenta channel, open up curves. Need a little bit more in there. Okay, let's go to yellow. Yellow needs to be adjusted quite a bit. I'm going to come to the bottom and add just more overall yellow. Then I'm going to click in the middle and pull up the midtones. So I get that pretty even. It looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go to the black channel, do the same thing. I need to pull some black out of this one, so I'm going to go to the top, pull some black down, then go to the middle, pull the rest of it out. Now we hope when we click back on our composite channel, and look how similar that is. Just incredible how it works. And what's so good about it is it preserves all the texture that's there. It doesn't paint on top of anything. It's readjusting the values, and I'm just taking that piece and moving it back into place. Now, yeah, I've got something to deal with here on these heads, because notice after I made all these changes to the grass, the hair and this device that's hanging down in there kind of came with it. So I need to correct those. But this made sense to you, how I was able to select that piece of grass, float it, move it up there, go channel by channel using curves to align the values, then you're well on your way to fully understanding what channels do and how they work. Now, I know this is bothering you. We've got to fix this spot around their heads. So I could just take my eraser. This is one way to do it, and I could just erase those pixels on this layer. But if I mess up, it cuts up into my chains that I made, and I have to undo it or find some other way to fix it, like with history. So I'm just going to go turn to my trusty layer mask button here in the layers palette. I mean, this piece of grass, after all, and these parts of these heads are, after all, on a layer by themselves. So I'm going to use layer mask, painting with black, and I'm just going to hide what's on this layer. Oh, sorry, let's make sure we're on a paintbrush, not the eraser. So use black. It's going to hide what's on the layer. And if I do happen to mess up like that, I can switch it to white. Remember, knowing what we do about layer masks, white will reveal, black will hide. I just kind of hide this top layer and reveal their heads from the underlying layer. And if I took my time, I could do the same thing up here to this thing, adjusting my brush as I went. Okay, so that's how we're able to do that. And if you can practice and get to the point where you can make some color changes using channels and curves, you can change the color of anything. It literally changes the color of anything. Now, real severe changes are difficult to do, like from yellow to, or from a dark color to a light color. That's hard. It's easier to go from a light color to a dark color. Okay, now on the next section, I'm going to show you how to use channels to make difficult selections from. So we've used them to save selections and load masks. We've used them to change color. Now we can actually build selections from channels. So that'll be the next one.